I really like this question. I really like it. I really like it because this is something that used to affect me big time. How do you stop the negativity of what's going on in the world from affecting you? Okay. First things first, you have to realize that you're not responsible for the world. Okay? You are responsible for your world. That's it. And those that are in it that are immediate to you, right? So your kids, your husband, your wife, whatever. All right. Um, Now, even your husband, you shouldn't be carrying his emotional weight. That's a whole nother fucking story. Topic of discussion. Good soup. However, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, and there always has been. It seems more amplified now because, well, we have fucking cameras out the wazoo, right? And so it's recorded. And so now everybody can see what the fuck is going on overseas. We can hear stories that are happening all over the world instantaneously, right? So we're like, oh, the world is going to shit. It's like, no, the world has always been like this. We're just being exposed to it more and more because of access to the internet and the way that humanity is connected uh, via the digital world, digitally per se. So what happens is people aren't mindful of what they're consuming. And so if you're an empath or if you're highly sensitive to other people's problems and shit like that, and you aren't gatekeeping your eyes and ears, well, and all you're doing is consuming media that's feeding you all the crazy shit going on in the world, you're not setting boundaries for your own mind and your own heart. And so it's easy to become super overwhelmed by all the shit that is happening. And you're like, oh, why do I feel so down? Why do I feel so discouraged? Why do I feel like the world is going to shit? It's because you don't have boundaries to your eyes and ears. And you don't have a solid um, understanding of where your responsibility lies. You're not to save the world. Okay? You're responsible for you and those immediate to you, right? To a degree. Now, I had to learn this. It took me many years to learn this. I spent many years of my life helping homeless people. I spent a lot of years doing that, let's just say. And it wasn't until I was helping a friend of mine who actually passed away last year, I met on the streets. He was this genius writer and poet, and he was a little, I think he might have been autistic, but I don't know. Just socially, he was a little awkward, but everything else is just this. He was a genius. He was a fucking genius. And I'll tell that story maybe later on. But in the process of helping him get off the street, which I didn't, when I met him, a few months went by, and I just thought he was awkward or whatever. And I thought I thought he was awkward. But turns out, one day when I was about to pull the plug from helping him because I couldn't give anymore because it was overtaking me. I had no boundaries, and I was giving too much, and it was bringing me down. I realized that night that he was blind. I tell this story later, but the whole point of me telling this is, in that process, And in that revelation, I started to realize, holy fuck, like I can't just leave this guy hanging. Now that I realize that he's like 90% blind. Like he was, yeah, you could barely see him. I was like, oh, I thought he just walked like that because he was awkward or whatever. He just walked slow, kind of like looking around, and couldn't really make eye contact because I thought he was just awkward. But anyway, so in that began this process of helping this guy get his eyesight back, helping him get off the street and stop sleeping on a bench, and get a job and get into housing and do all this stuff. And I was like, I threw this whole secret fundraiser. I did this whole fucking, this whole story. I sent out friends of mine who are filmmakers to act like student filmmakers to go get a piece on him so that I can use that piece to help raise money to get him off the street. Like I was doing all this stuff while I was struggling as an artist. Like I could barely even make rent. It was like paycheck to paycheck. I was struggling. I didn't know when my next job was going to be. It was very, very difficult. I just knew I couldn't leave this guy hanging. And in that process, I don't know if somebody said it to me, but it like clicked. Like, Darren, you need to first. I forgot exactly how it went. It was like, why are you doing for others, or you're getting frustrated at all of this because you are doing for others what you need to be doing for yourself. And when you do for others and it's not reciprocated, you get upset. And then I started feeling super like overwhelmed because I'm like giving, right? And I'm caring so much about all the shit that's going on in the world and all the people that are suffering. And I live in Los Angeles, so like there's a lot of people suffering here. It's very amplified in certain areas of the city. And you see a lot of it. And I didn't know how not to take that on. Until it really started affecting my mental health. I was like having these mental breakdowns because, you know, in the midst of trying to help this individual, we're getting shut down by doctors, we're getting shut down by hotels. Like I would try to get him hotels for a few nights if I knew it was going to start raining. They would reject him because he was stinky and he couldn't see. And because every time he had to sign papers, I would put the pen in his hand, and then I would put my finger on where he needed to sign, and I would put the right there, and I say, okay, Frank, go ahead and sign. And he would sign. And I did that, and the hotel that I was trying to get him to stay at for a few nights, they're like, oh no, they literally like pulled the paper back. Like, no, he can't stay here. Please leave. Oh, I lost my shit. I wanted to burn that place down. But the whole point of this story is, how do you stop the negativity of what's going on in the world from affecting you? By understanding that you're not responsible for the world. You are responsible for you and your world. And when you do give, and when you do accept responsibility, you do it with boundaries and self-respect. Because if you do not, you will end up helping to the point where you become helpless. And that is not a good place to be. A very, very difficult place to be. And so some people think, well, it's so selfish, like I can't. No, it's not. It's not. Right? And so I was fortunate enough to be able to help Frank get off the street, get his eyes fixed and all that stuff. Not just me, like he literally, he couldn't even see anything, and he would go out and like do job interviews and shit. He would go to the public library. He knew how to navigate the city by the audio on the city buses, saying, okay, like, and then like, this is where we're going, this is the drop-off point, blah, blah, blah. He would ask people questions, and when he would get to the library, he would just type on the keyboard, job searching, and he would get interviews, and they wouldn't hire him because, well, when you're homeless and you can't shower and bathe and shit like that, and you're trying to get a job and you show up to a job interview smelling like shit, they're not going to hire you. So it was like this nasty catch-22. Again, all that to say, this was a huge learning lesson for me in my life on how to not let the negative shit that's going on in other people's lives bring me down. At the end of the day, I was not responsible for this individual. I chose to help. I chose to help to the capacity that I could. In the beginning, I was just like, give everything, to the point where it was weighing me down. I was having mental breakdowns, all kinds of shit. I was like giving of money that I didn't have to homeless people that I didn't know what the fuck. Like, I'm like giving my last $100. I'm giving shit that I don't have, right? I'm like going in my closet and taking shit I haven't worn in a couple months and just like giving it away. Shoes, brand new shoes, shit like that. And that's all fine and dandy until you don't have anything left to give, because you haven't set any sort of boundaries in your own life. And so you become consumed by all the shit that's going on outside of you. So, in a nutshell, how do you stop the negativity of what's going on in the world from affecting you? By setting healthy boundaries for yourself and understanding that it is not your responsibility to save the world. Period. You do what you can, and you do it with love and in service and to the best of your ability and with an honest heart. But at the end of the day, people are responsible for themselves. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, kind of thing. I guess that doesn't necessarily apply entirely to this subject, but you have to keep that in mind when you are helping people, right? So I hope that helps. Great question, by the way. Thank you.